Hey there, it's Steph. Welcome to the Steph Fox podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Steph Fox podcast. I am Steph Fox, and I'm so excited today to have Shelby Bills with me from Graber and Company. Shelby and I have known each other through the beauty industry. Gosh, for how long have we known each other? Maybe like a decade. I feel like we've like passed paths. Does that sound about
Probably,
right?
yeah. Yeah, 10,
Yeah.
10, 12 years.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for joining me today on the podcast. I know that the things we're going to get into are things we have in common, like leadership and motherhood and building businesses, and things that a lot of people listening to this podcast also have in common with us. So I thought to kick us off, like, give us the background of your story. Like, how did you get involved in beauty, and then how did you come to own a hair salon?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited to be here right now. I think everything that you have been talking about and sharing is so relevant. So I'm super excited to be on here today. So thank you, Steph. And how I got started is I always say I was like the outsider on the inside. I was 19 years old and I started working at the front desk at Graber and Company. And it was just part time. I think during that time I had two other jobs. So Graber was my third job, and I was going to college full time, working on my marketing degree and all of that at that point in my life. And I fell in love with the way that people felt on their way out. So I'm not a hairdresser. I've never been licensed. I don't do the technical skill and development, but I've led teams of hundreds of hairdressers over the last 2 decades. And really, it was about that customer experience that I saw at the front desk. So that was like the foundation for everything. I think who I am as a person, I'm like, I want to leave this world better. And I got to see that at a very early age through beauty, even though I was like a tomboy. I wasn't into hair and makeup. Like, it's so funny because I'm like, I didn't really dress up a lot back then. I don't think I spent a lot of money or time on my hair at that point in my life. But I saw the clients walk in and they would be, we're downtown. They're frustrated. It's hard to park. They're stressed out in their life, and primarily were women. And they would leave like they were walking on clouds. And I was like, okay, what is this? And what is this feeling? And so that's really where I started, was the front desk at Graber and Company. And I left for a short window of time for only about 10 months to work for Aveda and work for a distributor. And I learned so much about the business side. And I had, salon owners and salons that were my accounts in my territory. And I started really looking at to why people buy and product lines and customer behavior and all of these different things. And I was able to bring that back to Graber and became the manager, the GM, and I bought out my boss at 25 years old. And at that time, there were four partners at Graber. I bought out the original first, well, she wasn't the original first person, but she was 19 when she started, and I think I bought her out when she was 62 years old. But she was my boss. I bought her out, bought 25% of the business. I had three other partners who were in their 50s and 60s. One of them I didn't even know, became business
Oh
partners
my
with.
gosh.
I mean, there's a whole story to unpack there at some point. But I knew that I wanted to be a part of it, and I knew that I wanted to do something different in my life. And that's where it started.
So when did you become the sole owner? Like, what did that journey look like?
So that was just actually in 2021. So 5 years ago, in 2015. So we were a booth rental salon when I started
Okay.
out. So there's a story there. We were a booth rental salon when I started out in 2009. And in 2015, I bought out two other partners and restructured the entire company to team-based employee W-2 commission salon.
All at the
Pretty
same
much
time.
all at the same time. So we worked about a year on that buyout. Their vision and their direction wasn't the same, and I was really looking to build a team, and I knew that we could do something bigger in the business, and so that's where my heart was. That's where my passion was. And then I just bought out the last partner in 2021, and he's actually still with the company. He's been with Graber for 45 years, and he's still there part time. And he was my boss, and he was my business partner, and now I'm his boss, and we went through that whole journey together, and it's pretty awesome.
So I want to go back to like your first buyout when you made a huge business shift. So just tell us staff size, like what was it roughly when you went from booth rental to team based?
Oh, to team base. Okay, so when I bought the salon, there were 16 stations, and there were I think 15 stylists. Back then we had nails, we had massage, we have aesthetics, we were full day spa also. And so there were probably like 18 people total when I first went into it. And then in 2015, we had grown. I started double shifting stations a little bit as independent, and I started playing with like day rates and part-time rates and all of those things. And so I want to say we were up to probably, 25, maybe 22 to 25. And now we're at 35 employee based, and we only are hair and skin.
So, did you lose people when you made that transition?
Oh my gosh, yes, I've had multiple walkouts, any type of restructure or change. I'm a big believer of like when we change in business, it also allows other people the opportunity to change in their life, and it gives them, I think, space to make those changes. And so I knew that that was going to be part of it, and the fallout, it hurt. It hurt really bad. I want to say I lost 9 top performers, $500,000 in like 12 days. And I was at that time going through a divorce, had 2 kids under 5. And I was just like, all right, let's go. And I was ready to build it from the ground up to be something bigger and better than what it was.
I really love that perspective you just shared of like you see change in the business as a like invitation for other people to make changes if it's the right time, because I think it is so easy to go into change terrified, right? Like
Yeah.
root fear is the emotion driving your decisions. And I just hear so much like optimism in the way you just described it, where it's like, yes, like there is an opportunity here. It's not just like, there's fallout coming, but there's an opportunity in that fallout.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's that whole saying of like when preparation meets opportunity, success in it is inevitable. So like stay prepared. So I'm a big believer in like I'm staying prepared. So if I know I'm going to navigate change and I know I'm going to be making a shift with people's time or money, you mess with their time or their money,
Mm.
things are going to change. And so I think before I made that, like I knew that that was coming. We were working on that. I was in the cosmetology schools. I was recruiting new talent. I had a training academy. I was working with my in-salon educators. Like we were getting ready for that change. If people were going to stay and they were going to grow, it was going to be amazing. But if they weren't and they wanted to change in their life, like the business still needs to be ready.
So I was at an event this past weekend, right? I was at Intercoiffure, and one of the members stood up very vulnerably to the whole audience and essentially said, like, things have changed so much in business in the last 6 years. I feel like I have no control. And his exact words were like, I'm fucking scared. Like, I don't know what to do. And I'm listening to you talk about like you intentionally made huge changes in your business.
Yeah.
And I hear you saying, but you prepared yourself for them for like, what if it goes this way and what if it goes the other way? So, what advice would you give somebody who, maybe is stuck in like they didn't intentionally make the changes, which I think might be part of it in the first place, right? Mindset is very different when you made the choice versus when you feel like it happened to you. But
Yeah.
what would you say to somebody who feels like all this happened to me and I'm stuck? Like I don't know what to do. I feel afraid.
Yeah. Well, and I think someone sharing that in that moment that is real for them. Like that is 100% real for them in that moment. And so my thought on that is like we get to change moment by moment, and
Mm.
it's either this happened to me or this happened for me. So there's a perspective shift. Because I would also say like yes, I was preparing for those things, but I didn't think I was going to lose $500,000 in 2 weeks and try to figure out how I'm going to pay my bills and all. Like you can prepare for worst case scenarios so far, but you can control the controllables, and the rest of it you've got to let go. And life is going to happen, and it's sometimes going to hurt. I have a friend who she always says it's the F you before the F yeah, if you understand, right? Like you're going to have this hurdle and this hill and this mountain that is in front of you. If there's something you want on the other side, that is part of the process. And I think it's when we think it's going to be easy, or we succumb to this idea of like the world is out to get me. There are endless opportunities in beauty right now, and like yes, it's hard. Every day is hard. I am more overwhelmed than I have been in my entire career in 2 decades. But am I overwhelmed because of what's happening, or am I overwhelming myself because I haven't let go of some of the things, that I don't need to hold on to? And so if you're in this place of hardship and frustration and like really worried about what's going to happen, I would just say, like, control the controllables. That's us. I can't control anything outside of myself, my mindset, what I believe is true, how I show up. Like, so when it's hard, I bring the energy. When I feel weighted down, like, I had to reach out to you and I was like, hey, what do I need to do? And you're like, find the fun. And I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't had fun in a while. So it's up to us to kind of control those energies in our business, but also, like, what personal development are you doing? Who are you surrounding yourself? My dad's a chicken little sky is falling kind of guy. And so, he's like a half glass empty and I'm a half glass full overflowing. Let's keep filling it up. And so we work together on that. And, like, also, worst case scenario is fine, but what do you do with that? And we trim the fat, we get rid of things that aren't working for us. I get people out of my life that are really negative and down. And, like, if you're a Debbie Downer, I can't hang out with you. If you think all of this stuff is horrible, yes, there are parts of it that are horrible, but also what is really great. Like, my kids are really great, my family's really great. Like, I can stay in some of those places. And so that's my advice, is really look at who you're surrounded by. What thoughts are we allowing into our mind? Are they serving us or not? Every day I write down, like, what are my top 3 things I need to get done today? And if the other things don't get done, that's okay, but my top 3 get done. And giving myself grace. Like, it is hard. Life is hard. There's 1,000 things coming at us that, like, I never had to deal with 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Well, we got to deal with them now. Mm-hmm. And do they matter? I don't know.
Oh, that's such a good question. You just gave so many amazing actionable pieces of advice. So thank you for that, because I feel like it's easy to, like, especially if you're somebody that's naturally motivated to be optimistic, it's easy to be like, well, you just got to let it go. But I feel like you just gave so many great how you actually let it go, because it's not as simple, right? It's just like, yeah, let it go. And even for somebody like yourself and I, and, like, I know we're very like-minded. I feel like when I'm on Instagram, it's funny. I'll see something. I'm like, oh, Shelby liked that. Of course she did. Like, we think the same. Like, we reshare the same kind of content. Even then, it's like we have hard days, right? And you kind of mentioned, like, vulnerably, which, thank you. Like, you're at capacity yourself, like, recently. So unpack that a little. Like, what is going on in the business that feels like, man, this is a lot, that is new or just finally reached its peak?
Yeah. So, 18 months ago? So we've been in our new location a little over a year. A year before that, I did an entire build out and had a lot of issues. And I bought the commercial space and I did my very first build out. And I was playing contractor, architect, and salon owner all at the same time. I hit my lid at that point, and that was in 2024. And I started to realize I needed a manager. I needed someone who could take over the day-to-day operations. And I had to admit I just couldn't do it all anymore, nor did I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And there were other people on my team that were really great. And I now have a GM, and she's our location manager. She runs all the day-to-day operations. I had to get out of my own way and stop being the bottleneck for her, and also commit to training her. Like, I will teach her everything backward and forward about the business. I am on her every day. Like, there are things, and it's not fun. I guarantee it's not fun for her a lot of times, but we had that conversation and she's like, I want this and I want a future here. And so my job is to pour into her and teach her everything that I know so that she could do a better job than I ever could. No one taught me. I had to learn trial by fire, right? No one taught us those things. So I think right now, looking around at who's on our teams is really important. And that training is hard. Like, I think that's probably where the heaviness comes from, is because I could close my own loops because I knew what projects I was working on. I knew when they were going to get done. I knew when they were done. I knew how they were done. Now I've got, a marketing director and a GM, and I'm working with a new website design company, and I'm doing 100 things, and I really don't know, are they being done probably either fully in the time frame that I want them to be done, So my brain is always on open. So it's 24/7. I do not close it down. That is the capacity that I'm at now. So before it was physical time, energy capacity. Now it's like my brain and like the thoughts. And so learning, I've never been as organized as I am right now. And so learning how to be more organized and structured in my life. And we now have weekly L10s, and we meet every week on what rocks we're working on, what projects. We get to like mark them off the Asana board and get a unicorn when they're done. So then Shelby
Yeah.
can shut down. And that's really what it is. Like my team knows it's a me problem. Like I know that this is hard because it's me, but I get to learn, at 42 and 25 years into this industry, I get to learn a new way of being as a leader. And so that's what's taking my brain space right now, I think, in that capacity. And also my kids, like my son is graduating high school like next week or the week after. My daughter is 16 and driving and having a whole life, and I don't have a lot of time. And so I'm constantly in this like, okay, my business, I want to grow my business and double my company, and I have really big goals, and I want to be a mom and be with my kids and not miss these last few years that they're with me. And so
Hmm.
there's a lot of that that's in there, you know?
Yeah, gosh, the mom thing. I'm going to come back to that because it's so real for uh, just about every salon owner, right? Like a lot of them are mothers. Thinking about what you just kind of shared you were struggling with, I think so many leaders, when they get to that, I want to develop the bench under me, like this is the exact tension that shows up. Like, can I let go of control?
Mm-hmm.
Can I trust myself to delegate well? And can I trust that they do what I delegate? And like really then it opens up a free space. And not that we're less busy, but it opens up this, wow, all these things I used to do, I'm not doing anymore. And
Yeah.
I work with so many executive leaders that like when that free space opens up, it's panic because
Yeah.
it feels like ineffectiveness. Like, who's doing it? Like, is
Mm-hmm.
it getting done? And then we want to double down and bring that control back in to feel good, right? And be like, let me triple check that it's actually happening the way that it was supposed to happen and that on the timelines. And it's so interesting. The ability to like accept that we can rest a little, that is part of the work too. It's like in fitness, right? They're like, well, your muscles don't actually grow when you're at the gym. They
Yeah.
grow on your rest day. When I think about roles I've sat in, I mean, I've been in Fortune 500 companies and executive leadership roles, right? I've run a salon, like big teams, small teams. The difference at the layers of leadership are so fascinating to me. And it's like when you get into it, you go through the growing pains you're talking about, where at the executive layer, like you're not doing the work. You're doing different work. Like it's mind work, it's strategy work, it's visioning, but you really are not at all part of the execution. And that is so different from being the tactical, like mid-level manager, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
the owner that doesn't have a manager underneath them, where like you're coming up with the ideas and you're doing the work. But like if you look structurally inside of corporate America, you get into a VP level, you're not doing the work, right? You're not the sales team. Like the sales team, I'll just use beauty as an example, right? If you're a rep for a brand, you are in accounts every day. You are driving around. You are hustling, slinging product. You get up to a director level, you're in like a tenth of those accounts
Mm-hmm.
because you're actually managing the people that are in the accounts. You get up to the VP level, you're actually in like half of the 10,
Yeah.
because you're actually now managing the people and the higher level strategy and vision and growth and what all the people are going to need. And it's a different mindset and it's a different capacity and it's a different skill and really the letting go of like what I don't have to do.
Yeah.
It's where leadership comes in. And you're so good at this. I mean, you study and you work on yourself, so you know this, but you're literally living it. So thank you for sharing. Like a lot of leaders want to be in the space you're describing where they have support around them, but I think they have no idea what's coming for them in the feelings that
Yeah.
you're describing.
Yeah. Well, and it brings up like what you're talking about. It brings up all of my not enough stuff. It brings up like what do I do with my free time, but now I don't have free time because I'm creating more. And then I'm also passing it off to my leadership team, but we haven't built that layer underneath that leadership team because now their job, like we learn, turn, teach, right? Like we're going to teach someone, we're going to make sure that and verify that they know how to do it, and then the goal is for them to turn around and teach it to someone else. Well, is what's broken for us right now is now that next layer of leadership, which you can't get to that optimization unless you have those layers, and those layers in between, like one or two of us or two or three of us can do some massive work, but we've started adding like, okay, 3 or 5 or 6. And now the accountability and the verifying and all of that is like a really big struggle, and the revenue's not there yet. And so it's a constant, like, we want to hire great people, but we can't afford to pay them what they need to be paid. But then I'll coach some people up, and then they get to burn out and overwhelm, and then they want to leave the industry. I mean, we're fighting these battles as a really big small business, you know? So
Yeah, because
yeah,
it's like when you're in that place, you're driving through vision, right? And
yeah,
you're hoping that aspiration makes people want to step up and feel
yeah.
like, yes, like I want to be part of this thing. Um, but to your point, if we're not helping them manage how they navigate their time and their feelings and their capacity level, um, they will burn out just like we do. And we can't fully burn out because we have more on the line. So we're
Right,
like, we're on the hook for it. And they're like,
right.
I'm out. Like, this is too much.
They're like, see ya. You know,
So,
and that's the part. Like, owners also say how hard it is, because it is freaking hard. But if it's
mhm,
that hard, people don't want to do that kind of hard either. So, like, what's the trade-off? The trade-off, like, for me, is life by design and like work-life integration. I don't know. I'm not a big believer in balance and all of that. Like when I need to be there for my kids, I'm 100% there. And if I've got to do payroll at midnight, I do payroll at midnight. And if I can take a vacation for 4 days, that's amazing. And I may work 10 days straight. You know, like, it's
mhm,
just real, but I get to choose that, you know?
mhm,
And I think sharing also the really great things about entrepreneurship and leadership, and like, you know, we have a coffee shop and wine bar attached to us too. So we have like 45 people's livelihoods that are on us every day, that 45 people in our community can go out and spend their money and their time and their life in our community because of what we're doing, because of what I said I would do, and I laid everything on the line for it. You know,
mhm.
that's a big deal. Like, that's something to be proud of. It's
Yeah,
huge.
it is. And I think the reminder to be proud and to celebrate and to acknowledge like what you're grateful for. I mean, we hear about having gratitude practice all the time, but the mental muscle when you're in the ick of actually stopping and being like, no, wait a minute. Like,
Yeah.
what am I truly grateful for? Like, what is, I mean, and if it's the flower outside that you see, or like for me, some days when I sit and do like a Bible study in the morning and I have these squirrels that run across my fence and they make me so happy.
Yeah.
They are so playful. And I'm just like, okay, like, yes,
Yep.
like, look how much fun they're having just running around. And you just got to find the little things because
Yeah.
it is hard and it's definitely hard for the entrepreneur who's pouring out to other people. But to your point, we chose this
Hmm.
and we get to choose if we go on a vacation and work 10 days straight to do it. And like,
Yeah.
I meet a lot of people who get hung up on that, like that
Yeah.
they feel guilt around not always being on. And I
Hmm.
think that is such a piece of work. It's like, you don't have to always be on. That's why you decided to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So you could
Yeah.
work whatever schedule by design you want to work, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and I struggle with that myself a lot, is because when I'm in town, I am always on. Like, whether it's with my kids or what I was dealing with trying to co-parent when they were little, and all those things, my brain was always like, what's going on with them? Where do they need to be? What's happening? Um, with my business, what's going on there. And I had 2 salons and a barbershop at one point, and I went back to school and got my bachelor's degree when my kids were little, and like, I was always on. But when I get on a plane, you better believe, like, I am like, freedom, you know? So for me, I know that's an off switch for me. And so I've designed my life to, I make sure that at least every 4 to 6 weeks, I've got a 4 day weekend planned in there, and I'm actually going out of town, because it is hard to turn off, and that wasn't working for me staying in town. And people are like, oh, design a life you don't have to leave from. And I'm like, I don't know, I love vacation, and when I get on a plane, I feel like the sky is like bluer and the birds are
Yeah.
louder and the sun is brighter, you know? And I get to actually go be free, because in that moment I'm like, well, they know, they have a crisis manual, they know what's going to happen, my parents are with my kids, if the place burns down we have insurance, like, okay, bye.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
wish I could do it when I was in town. It still hasn't worked for me yet, but travel's a really big thing for me, and that's what I've designed my life of is like we set an annual calendar before any salon things go in my calendar. My life goes on my calendar first. My kids, all of their dance recitals and their commitments and their big things go on the calendar first, and then work goes on there because work will take over if you let it. It will take over everything if you let it.
Yeah, I plan my calendar very much like you do. Like, and for me, every October, I am planning the entire next year. Like my birthday's in October, and that's my like vision setting time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like I also like raised two children as a single parent, right? I'm separated, so I share custody with their dad, and I block out like my availability is based on their time with me or their
Yep.
time with their dad. And if they're with me, it is rare that I would say yes to an event. It's
Yep.
like if I have no control over the date and I think it's the right thing to go to, then I will. And thankfully, their dad is flexible. But for the most part, it's like, nope, we have to plug in what's the kid's schedule? What trips do we want to take? Like, where do I need to be that feels the most important to me? Where's my gym time? Like, my calendar is so blocked. Like, it's literally down to like Bible study time's here, gym time is here, like homework, right? Because I'm in school right now too. It's like
Yeah.
all of it is blocked
Yeah.
because you cannot be a high capacity leader, especially high capacity woman raising children,
Yeah.
if you're not taking control of the time that you have.
Yep. Well, and I almost wonder sometimes with what is happening right now because someone said that there we get like is it 6,000 impressions or something a day that is coming at us, whether it's
Yeah.
social media, whether it's our notifications, it's like 6,000, right? And we can't process that much information as it is. Plus, we need to think about dinner and our kids' schedules and what's happening and all the things outside of work plus all of the stuff that's happening at work, the goals that you've set that you're trying to do, you're trying to achieve these goals and then life happens and then you've got to pivot and adapt and adjust in real time. Those are real things. And so if we don't take control, again, control the controllables, I can control my schedule to an extent. Like, yes, there's going to be things
Yep.
that are outside of those sometimes. But if I can get 80% of my schedule the way that I want it for the year, it's very smooth compared. And I've only been doing this for probably like, I think this was my third year of an annual plan. And it changed my life. Like before that, I was
Hmm.
flying by the seat of my pants and like not getting to do the things that I love. And I was also saying yes to things that weren't that important. And so now it's either a hell yes or it's a no. And that goes with friendships, that goes with time, that goes with everything. And that's a tough place to be in sometimes too, because you have to let go of a lot um, of things and people and just time that we did things differently. But
Yeah. I can
yeah,
really relate to that. I feel like when you become aware of your time and you're really clear on your priorities, it is like hell yes or no.
yeah,
And it's painful because when you're a high achiever and somebody that really seeks like a life by design, you know when you're in an experience that isn't
yeah.
fueling you, you leave it so clear that it felt like it drained you.
Like it, I never want to do that again. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And it shows up in friend circles, right? It
mm,
shows up in relationships. It shows up in all these places where you're like, what is that about? Like I know I've had to do a lot of my own assessing of like, why do I always feel fill in the blank, right? Like depleted, tired, even questioning my own like worth or like, why am I the weird one? Like, what
yeah.
is up in this
Is it
situation? Like,
me?
why do I
Yeah,
feel everybody else seems like they're having the best time and I leave and I'm like, ugh, like
yeah,
something didn't work for me there.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I find that challenging a lot in friendship, honestly, because I think, you probably have a similar dynamic in that you have friends all over the country. Like we travel and we're at events and like we have all these incredible people, incredible women, like everywhere. And like they don't live in the city I live in.
yeah. They're not around. Yep.
And I'm like, could just one of you be here, please?
Yeah,
Because man, would I love to just go get a coffee sometimes and like have a dynamic conversation with somebody that is really interesting and like doing things and thinking big and like purposeful. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and acknowledging too when we're in those seasons, because I think they are seasons. And I'm coming out of a season of probably what, 3 years of really like nose to the ground, like foot on the gas, hard. And I didn't really have those seasons of fun for quite some time. I mean, I got to travel and I got to do some really cool things. But if I just really like relaxed in my own house or took a slow morning, like that's been years. And so I was getting to the point where I was feeling depleted and I was feeling like that. And I'm like, okay, what do I deserve to shift in my life right now so that I can shift out of this season? Because also it can become a default, and that high anxious, high performer personality shows up for me, and I'm like, okay, Shelby, is that who you really want to be like this year in this season? And I'm like, no, I don't. I want to spend time with some friends. I want to have coffee in the morning on my couch and in my sweatpants. And some days I don't want to get ready and I want to spend time with my kids and make dinner and like put my feet in the grass. I haven't got to do that in a couple years because that I was doing something else. And so acknowledging that and being aware enough to say, okay, well, what season do I deserve to be in now? And it's going to be slower and it's going to look different. And I may not hit my goals that I intended to hit this year, but also that's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, being willing to like look at, well, what is the actual goal? Because if the goal has shifted from I have to drive revenue and like really scale the business massively to let's just hang and be steady and not decline and just feel
Yeah.
comfortable and relationally build and pour into my leaders there and skill I love and already have. And the goal is actually like be with my kids, be with my family, feel
Yeah.
more balanced, learn how to rest. Like that's a big goal. It's not this measurable feeling,
No.
but it's a big goal. Like
It's massive. It's massive, and you cannot measure it.
Mhm.
Well, I haven't figured it
The
out yet.
measurement, I think for me, when I'm in that, the measurement is like how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I know like today is actually a really great example, right? I came back from an event and I know better than to stack the day after an event. And I still stacked it. Like I just because things were crazy and I had all, I'm like, okay, I gotta fit all these things in. And so it was like, okay, well, great, Stephanie. Like, you know better because you know how you feel when you come back from being like on for 15 hours of a day, and multiple days in a row. And, we learn and we check in and we're like, okay, wait. So now I had the today actually went into my calendar and I looked at my next like big events like this and I'm like, block the day now. Like, why did you not already have that done? Because you have to have refuel time.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not like life is not going to happen that way if we don't plan it. It won't because
100%.
the things will happen and everyone will need you when you don't have enough even for yourself sometimes. And so like
Hmm.
that intentional time block or that intentional spend or whatever that is. And so I love that you said that. Like I find myself when I've laughed more, like when my eyes are brighter and I've laughed more, like I can tell I'm like, okay, I'm feeling lighter. The load is not as heavy. Like,
Yeah.
and I want to do more of that. So then what have I been doing in the last week? Or, and I have to check in. Otherwise, like, I'm a machine. I can go and I can keep going and keep going. And I will push through even on the hardest days because that's what
Hmm.
I had to do early in my career and as a single mom and like really doing those things. Like, there was no other option. There was no option. And now I'm like, I don't want to live like that either. So who do I get to become? Who do I deserve to become? And what are the practices? Because it is a practice for me. It is hard. it's
Hmm.
like it's like homework. What are the practices that I'm going to do in my life to laugh more, or to breathe, or
Yeah.
to have more capacity or space for like other things that aren't work? Someday find a
Yeah.
hobby, maybe. I don't know.
Oh gosh, I feel that so hard. Like I want to learn how to golf. That's my hobby for
Oh,
the summer because my
uh-huh.
boys golf and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to do this with them. And even if I end up just driving the cart around, at least I don't feel stupid on a golf course. Like I'm not like, what's happening here? Like I have some sense of like, um, but I feel like for me, it's been this journey of undoing the perfectionism. And I didn't used to think it was perfectionism because I'm not a perfectionist in that like things have to be perfect, but I'm such an overachiever that I'm trying to perfect like the full outcome. Like the
Yes.
details don't matter to me. I'm like a
Yeah.
big outcome person. I'm like, oh, okay, Steph, like really get clear on what priorities make you feel the way you want to feel. So when I design my schedule and I check in like truly weekly on where I'm at, but like I do a good like quarterly, here's what I said mattered when I built my goals, like what's this month, and I end up with kind of like you, two, three, four things that not only by the day, but by the month, like these are the big rocks this month and the rest has got to wait. And because there's other big rocks, there's, time for my kids. Like I take every other Friday off with my kids. They go to school Monday through Thursday because they're in like a homeschool program.
Yeah.
It's like I take every other Friday off, and on the opposite Friday, they're with their dad. That day, I carve out for like, I just put, it says Steph's Creation Day on it. And I do my damnedest not to fill it. Now, I'm not always successful, but the intention would be I can just go sit at the coffee shop after the gym and I
Mhm.
can just read a book, or I can stupid doom scroll and look at funny videos, or I can write, or I can meet a friend for coffee, or like take a walk. Like, I intentionally carve. So it's 2 days a month where I'm like, all right, keep it open. There's nothing in it. And it's helpful. It is. I look forward to that Friday so much.
Yeah. Well, and it's so good that you have that planned out because I think a lot of times we're just carrying this weight with us. It's like we're carrying it all forward and it's not going to go anywhere if we don't just like have some space. And I might
Yeah.
just lay in my bed and stare at my ceiling. I might not even go do anything. I'm like, oh, this is pretty. This is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I took a walk this morning and I didn't put any music or podcasts on,
Yeah.
and it was just silent. And actually, I had my earbuds in because I was like tuning out all the car traffic and stuff. But I was
Uh,
walking like, oh, I actually love that there's nothing in my ears right now. Like,
yeah.
it's just quiet and my own thoughts.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Like, I don't
So
do
good.
that enough. I do
No.
not do that enough.
No. I
It's
I
so
did a
good.
breath work session last month or the month before, and I've done them before, but I've never had an outer body experience like I did at this last one, and I think it was probably the first time that I actually learned to take full breaths. And they had a DJ, like, so the music was full on loud DJ that was going with the breath work facilitator and all of that. Like, I felt my body completely feel like it like turned inside out. It was very interesting. And so like now I'm like, okay, what's once a month that I can either have a breathwork session like that, like not a therapy breakthrough session, but almost just like a space for me. And so I'm looking for more of
Mhm.
those things in my community to do that because I'm like, wait, if I felt like that and I've never felt like that and I've done these things before, I'm like, there's something inside of me that's ready now. I'm ready.
I started breathwork in February of 2025,
Mm-hmm.
and it has changed my life.
Oh,
Like, it has, I was going twice a month for 2 hour sessions, so 4 hours a month.
mm-hmm.
Um, it has changed my life because, like you, I am wired to go, achieve, drive. Like, I have a very high capacity. Like, I can handle a lot of things. It's always going to get done. I'm not dropping the balls. Like, it's just the way it's going to be, right? But I kind of got to this place where I was like, what am I compromising because I run so hard?
Yeah,
And what, like, for me, in full transparency, like, my compromise has always been my personal relationship. Like,
yeah,
so hard because I drive so hard, and it always runs up against like the relationship. And I just got to this point, like at 40, where I was like, damn, am I tired of compromising partnership because I have too much masculine energy. I run too hard, and I'm not saying like I am too much. Like, I know that
yeah,
that is not true. But what I do know and what breathwork taught me is I can take a breath and be easeful and
mm-hmm.
enjoy and not have to like grip it and control it. Like, I am working so hard on embracing more feminine energy
Yeah,
because I do believe, like, I have a very strong faith and I have a very strong belief in like manifestation, and I'm like in frequency and energy. I'm like, I can have all these things that,
yeah,
and my life is proof of that, but it doesn't have to feel like this. Because actually,
yeah,
if it feels like this, I don't want these things,
yeah.
you know? So it's like
I
that
think
is
that
my serious work this year. And I'm sure for a while, because it's like, damn, is it hard? And I have had some brutal scars
yeah,
from that chasing. Brutal.
yeah. Very, very similar. I think in my 20s, I didn't know how to turn. I took a class once. It was called Masculine Power, Feminine Grace, and I
Mm,
lived in my masculine power in my 20s. I lived in my masculine power and as a high achiever and a top performer and like results driven and and I was married at the time. I was married to someone who was more creative and are artsy and like held space and could do all those things. And I didn't know how to slow down. And that's something that I think I was 30, early 30s when I took this class, Masculine Power, Feminine Grace, and really learning to look at my femininity not as something that made me weaker or less than or not enough sometimes in the masculine spaces, because you still have to be fully present, and there is a persona that you bring in those spaces, especially when I was, young and with primarily male driven industry and powers around. You got to play the game. And I think I didn't really know how to give myself grace until then. And that's something I've been really working on, is like, what is this feminine grace and what does this look like? And I might turn on my masculine power during the day, and I might be results driven and I might be that, but I also have grace and I have capacity and I have compassion, and my leadership is different, and the way of my beingness is getting to be different. But I didn't know, you just don't know what you don't
Yeah.
know. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's like been so transformative for me that it changed my professional work, right? I think you've probably seen that shift, right? I went from like, okay, I'm focused on recruiting, which has been what I've done for years and years, to I started school and that breath work at the same time. And I just clearly saw this alignment to the foundation of being a great leader is getting control of you.
yeah,
And so it's been this blending of there are clear leadership skills we need. There are operational processes, of course, that we can use those skills to put to place. But like step one is us
yeah,
and ourself. Step two is the skill. And step three is like, can you operationalize it? And so all of my work has shifted to be the leadership and the building of that with leaders, because it changes everything. And when I ask leaders in my lab that I run, which is 6 sessions, lab 4, I always say, like, let's check in. Like, what's the biggest transformation? 100% of them say how I feel about
yeah,
the work. Like, that is the shift, And it's like we're about to start lab 4. We talk about developmental coaching, which those are the two biggest parts of like powerful leadership. Get a hold of you, be a great developing coach, right? Like
yeah,
you can do those things, you can grow anything.
yeah.
Um, it's so powerful. And it's not what I really thought I was going to hear. But then as soon as I heard it, it was like, of course, that's the shift. Because that's the shift
Mhm.
I felt too.
Yeah,
It was like, it's
yeah,
me. Like when I can feel different in this, like everything changes.
yeah. Well, that ownership of leadership is a beautiful gift and very heavy responsibility, and it is not
Mhm.
for everyone. And I think sometimes leaders that I've met or coached along the way fall into victim mentality about like, why is me, and woe is this, and us versus them and all the things. And it's like, we have to be a leader of self first, and we get to walk that identity and that space before we can ever have those leaders around us. And if we start to pull leaders in and we haven't acknowledged that and haven't trained that and learned that leadership skill of self, I think it's really hard. And so I'm so excited. I mean, I loved your recruiting, and you coached us through so many amazing things, and we've hired some friggin' awesome talent from what we learned from you.
Yay.
And so,
Love
so like
that.
now that you're moving into this phase, I'm super excited about this too, because I believe in leadership and legacy, and they go hand in hand. And you cannot have a beautiful legacy without personal leadership and personal responsibility. And so, what you're teaching is amazing. So I'm very excited about
Thank
this.
you. Well, I know, I had this awareness in like 2008 where I got tired of people saying to me, oh, you're so busy, Steph. Like people
Yeah,
would always say that to me, and it hit me like that is not the descriptor that I want about my life, right? So now, flash forward, that was like almost 20 years ago, which is crazy to think. I'm still in the work of learning, and I feel like the last year has been like a massive quantum leap forward in this work, but it's like no, if I think about my legacy, what I do not want is people to be like, oh, stuff was so busy. What
yeah,
I absolutely want is people to recall the way I made them feel, the way
mm-hmm.
they were impacted by their work with me. And that is all rooted in the energy I show up with. Like if I show up hard driving and sharp and tense and like that's not ever creating the feeling for other people that I want to create because I don't want to feel like that.
Yeah,
So it's been this like, yeah, like if I soften,
mm-hmm.
then I can lead in a way that shows people leadership can feel really good. It can feel soft. It doesn't have to feel like, oh, it's gonna burn me out. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Well, and
know?
all that fear that's wrapped around, because it's real as a business owner and as a leader, that there's a lot of fear of judgment, of loss, of all the things that can be happening at once. But that fear is so much armor. It's that pokey armor that's like, it's
Hmm.
literally like making people go away from us. And that's like the opposite, because I think most leaders that I've met, they want good, like they are good people, and they wouldn't take these risks and put, their finances and their future and all these things on the line, and put themselves out in public spotlight, and like the bigger the spotlight, the bigger the spitwads. Okay, they would not do that if they weren't inherently good and
Yeah.
have a good heart. And I think that that's the hard part, is like, how do you be a leader and people still think that you're good, because there's a lot of negativity going on right now with leadership. And not everyone gets these roles, and they are earned and they are deserving, and it can be beautiful. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, it is a beautiful space and it's something you're called to. And I love to remind people in this work, like this is a practice. Like you're gonna flop some days. And that's where
Yep.
that grace you talked about, like literally like learning that feminine grace for yourself. Like it's all good. We can apologize, we can circle back, we can start again, we can have a good cry, phone a friend, like whatever we need to do to like recalibrate and recenter ourselves, breathe, like yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Um Okay, man, this has been so powerful. I feel like so many people are just gonna eat this up. I would love to have you share as we kind of come to a close, like knowing your journey, is there something that you wish you knew then that you know now
Mm.
that you would share that might help somebody that is earlier in their journey or just stuck in a place that maybe you used to be stuck in? So, what you wish you knew then that you know now moment.
Man, I'm like, woo, that could go far and wide. But I think I wish I would have surrounded myself around more coaches or leaders or other salon owners earlier on in a different way. Because I didn't start like coaching with a company until, 6, 7 years ago. And I think that, like I went to the classes and I did the summits, and I did the once or twice a year thing, but not the every week. And for me, the last few years, every day. That I wish I would have done earlier, because I was able to work through a lot of personal things, feel supported, um, transition things in my business, make changes, those kind of things with people around me who are also going through that too. And so I think finding a coach, a mentor, a group, that I wish I would have done in my 20s, because that
Mm.
I would not be here. It wouldn't have taken me 20 years to learn and figure it out. You can watch other people and learn. Like, I keep saying over and over, and I say this to my team all the time, like, we don't have to be the one to make the mistake or to like learn the lesson in a hard way. You can watch someone else and you can be a
Oh,
part of their story, and you can see what they did that you either wouldn't do, or you can see what they did that you would do and apply those and embody those things. But like, I learned the hard way a lot of face planning, a lot of like burning it down, rebuilding, all of those things that I don't think it would have had to be that hard if I had the right support early on.
hmm.
So get
Oh,
around the people, get in the rooms, not the once a year, not the, not just the sometimes. It's an investment, and it's a consistent thing, and you show up. But if you don't show up, they're not going to show up for you either. So it starts with us. It starts with that personal leadership. It starts with us. So that would be my piece on that. So that's something I wish I would have done really early on.
oh, I love that. And I'm gonna tag onto that what like 1,000% support. And then when you get in that space, like guys, be willing to be vulnerable
Yes.
because you can't get help if you're not really honest. I walk into so many rooms and talk to so many leaders that when I'm like, let's talk about how it's going, and they're like, it's good. And I'm like, mm, it's not actually. Like everything about your tone and your eyes right now tell me it's not, but you have some guard that makes you feel not safe enough to share. And like we grow when we share. So we have to be willing to be like, yeah, this shit's hard. Like,
Yeah.
even if you can't put any other words to it than that, like just, I don't
Yep.
know.
Yep. And be
So,
willing to go first. So thank you for saying that, because that be willing to go first. And like, we don't like it when our teams, 80% of our teams aren't playing or they're disengaged. Be the 20%. Always be the 20% that's playing full out. Like, it's going to get those results, you know?
Oh, so good. Shelby, thank you so much for joining me today. Those of you listening, if you love this episode, be sure to give us a follow, share it with another friend that you know is going to really need to hear this message because this is so powerful for salon leaders, especially if you are trying to build a business and raise a family at the same time. And you struggle with the things that Shelby and I struggle with because, gosh, we're in your camp. So thank you so much. It was great to have you today.
Thank you. Bye, you guys.
Bye.